Good evening and welcome to Sunset News on this beautiful Wednesday evening. As usual, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, sports, and so much more. I am Glenora Shipura. Starting us off in the news tonight, the Education Ministry has revealed that Namibia's education system recorded 13,450 learner dropouts in 2025, out of a total enrollment of 913,223, with girls slightly more affected than boys, 6,884 females compared to 6,576 males, highlighting persistent gender disparities in a system under pressure from poverty, infrastructure challenges, and policy gaps. Excuse me. According to the Ministry of Education's Deputy Executive Director for Finance and Administration, Knox Otto Imbua, for the 2025 academic year, the national enrollment stood at 913,223 learners, of which 849,159 were enrolled in state schools, while 65,064 were enrolled in private schools. Speaking last week during an engagement with the Parliamentarian Standing Committee on Education, he noted that out of the 848,159 enrollment in state schools, 422,244, 49% were males, and 425,915, 50.2% were females. In private schools, out of 65,064, a total of 31,777, or 50.4%, were females, while 32,287, or 49.6%, were males. Out of the total enrollment of 913,223 learners, 13,450, or 1.47%, dropped out of school. Of these, 6,884, 51.1%, were females, and 6,576, 48.9%, were males. He highlighted that the regions with the highest dropout rates included Ohangwena, 1,758, Kavango East, 1,616, and Kavango West, 1,405, while regions with the lowest dropout rates include Karas, 332, and Oshana, 379. Education statistics for 2024 further revealed that school dropouts remain a challenge across Namibia, with thousands of learners leaving the education system prematurely. According to the figures, Ohangwena recorded the highest number of dropouts at 1,741 learners, followed by Kavango East, 1,562, Oshikoto, 1,347, and Kunene, 1,385. Other regions with notable figures include Omaheke, 1,291, and Kavango East, 1,271. Commerce, home to the capital, reported 990 learners dropping out, while smaller totals were seen in Hardap, 568, Erongo, 484, and Karas, 310. Imbua said the figures reflect a complex mix of socio-economic, infrastructural, and policy-related challenges. He highlighted menstrual health as a key concern, noting that about 14% of girls miss school due to lack of sanitary products, despite government interventions to support vulnerable learners. Water and sanitation challenges, particularly in remote schools, as well as dilapidated infrastructure, continue to affect learning conditions. Imbua warned that poor sanitation facilities are not conducive for the girl child, contributing to absenteeism and dropout. Learner pregnancy remains a nationwide challenge. While policy allows pregnant learners to continue attending school until childbirth, some schools still send them home prematurely. Poverty continues to drive dropout rates, with many learners unable to access regular meals. The National School Feeding Program, which mainly supports primary school learners, does not extend to secondary schools, leaving many vulnerable after transition. Infrastructure deficit also exposed learners to long and unsafe journeys, particularly in regions such as Zambezi and Kunene. In our next story, a total of 30 households in Hokohanas are set to receive free electricity connections in 2026 as part of government efforts to improve living conditions in the settlement. A total of 30 households in Hokohanas will receive free electricity connections during 2026, benefiting residents who have built homes but are not yet connected to the electricity grid. Kenneth Riand said of the Hokohanas Children Fund. Now, Riand shared the update following a consultative community meeting held on Tuesday at Hokohanas Community Hall, hosted by Mariento Rural Constituency Councillor and Hardap Regional Council Chairperson Simon Cooper. The meeting was attended by Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security Edward Wambo, alongside officials from the ministry and the Hardap Regional Council. While electrification formed part of broader development plans, the primary focus of the engagement was civil registration, with residents urged to regularize their documentation. Many Namibians remain undocumented, limiting their access to essential services and opportunities, Riand said. Now, to improve access to services, Riand noted that residents requiring identity cards, full birth certificates and other national documents are encouraged to register their needs at the settlement office, which will enable the Ministry of Home Affairs to conduct monthly outreach visits to Hokohanas. Infrastructure development also featured prominently, with Riand stating that interlocking paving will be installed from the police station to the settlement, including the construction of speed bumps to reduce dust pollution, improve public health and enhance road safety, particularly for school children. On road upgrades, he said the Hokohanas Kalkran Road has been identified as priority number 3 on the regional development agenda and is expected to be tarred within the next 5 years, while a road linking Hokohanas to the Into Africa route is planned for upgrading within the next decade. Water security remains a key concern, with Riand saying the Hardap Regional Council has already begun connecting 2 boreholes to the main water reservoir, with significant progress being made in addressing water challenges. According to Riand, Cooper has committed to accelerating development in the area, noting that the councillor has promised to bring key ministries and ministers to Hokohanas to fast-track development. In our next story, the president of the Chamber of Mines of Namibia, George Botshiwe, alongside the vice president, John Roos, kicked off presentation of the Critical Sector Annual Review for 2025. Among other issues, they discussed the total revenue for 2025 generated through mining activities in the country, which jumped 64.178 billion Namibian dollars from 51.382 billion Namibian dollars in 2024. Let's have a look.
Thanks to the members of the press present, Mr. VP. Thank you. You can see it's the 2 gold miners that we are honored. So, I mean, I don't have a lot of words. Obviously, the report will be self-explanatory in terms of the contents. It really showcases our performance for 2025. Our achievements, and certainly, and very important, obviously, to highlight to the nation our contribution to Namibia. And I think we some really strong results coming out. Yes, there are some commodities that are not doing very well, but there are some commodities that have picked up quite significantly and that are really contributing to the economy and to the general welfare of Namibians, and that's what we want to highlight. And I think, and over and above that, what's really important, obviously, is our efforts in terms of our engagements with different stakeholders, more so with government, in terms of unlocking and making sure some of that legislation and regulations are aligned and that they are really there to promote and to uplift our industry. So that's really important for us to highlight during these deliberations. Now, let me not take a lot of time and end there. And yeah, let's launch the report and let's send it out to the public to understand our industry.
A new investment of about 70 million Namibian dollars into Namibia's technical and vocational education and training sector is set to expand skills development, strengthen policy frameworks, and improve access for marginalized groups under the fourth phase of the Pro-TVET program. The funding, announced during the Pro-TVET IV operational planning workshop in Windhoek last week, forms part of ongoing cooperation between the Namibian government and Germany through GIZ. Speaking on behalf of the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sports, Arts and Culture, TVET Director Dalia Muya said the latest phase builds on more than a decade of collaboration aimed at equipping young people with labor market relevant skills. This new phase of the Pro-TVET program, supported by investment of 3.4 million euros, reaffirms our shared commitment to equipping Namibia's youth with future-orientated, labor market relevant and inclusive skills, she said. She added that the program will prioritize aligning training with the changing economy, expanding quality training opportunities, and improving access, particularly for persons with disabilities and other marginalized groups, through deeper private sector participation, enhanced institutional capacity, and the rollout of modernized training programs through work-integrated learning. Government is taking decisive steps to ensure that young people are not only trained but are meaningfully integrated into the labor market. Muya said. Pro-TVET program manager Jerry Bierke said the initiative dates back to 2012 and has undergone 3 phases before the current rollout. The first TVET project, financed by the German government, started in 2012, and the project has had 3 phases up to March this year, he confirmed, noting that the European Union also co-financed parts of the program between 2016 and 2024. He said that the program has worked closely with the Ministry and the Namibia Training Authority as key partners, with additional collaboration from institutions such as the Namibia University of Science and Technology. Bierkes highlighted that more than 700 trainers have been capacitated over the years through technical upskilling and teaching methodologies. That concludes our top stories. On the other side of this, we take a look at what's headlining our community talk. An entrepreneur from Rundu, Joseph Kashiri, has offered free fumigation services at Kashina Kashi Senior Secondary School in Kavango West following recent food poisoning incidents that affected several learners. Kashiri, the owner of Joseph Pest Control, said his team fumigated the school kitchen after reports that the cases could be linked to food contamination, adding that cockroaches are a major cause of unhygienic conditions. He said the initiative is aimed at meeting government halfway in creating safer school environments and pledged to extend similar services to other schools and hostels in Kavango East and Kavango West. Kashiri said the pledge is valued at $6,500 million, covering transport, labor, and chemicals. Let's have a look.
My name is Joseph Kachiri, the owner of Joseph Pest Control. We are here at Kachina Kachi Combined School to do cockroach fumigation in the kitchen. So recently we had incident food poisoning at Kachina Kachi Combined School. So we decided as our company to come meet the government halfway to come do the fumigation of the kitchen. Since cockroach is one of the most major things that contributed to food poisoning at the school. So as you can see, we are here as a team. We are busy with the cockroach fumigation and we are going to expand. This is not our last fumigation. We are going to expand to Kavango West, Kavango East, all over the school in Kavango East and Kavango West, which serving hostels. We are going to expand and meet the government halfway. So we are just helping the government to meet them halfway as we are doing the kitchen. As you can see, we are doing the fumigation. Thank you very much.
Up next is our economic news. Getting into our economic news, the Bank of Namibia says it expects stock of international reserves to remain above the 3-month import cover threshold despite ongoing tensions in the Middle East, which has seen an increase in the oil price. Addressing the media following the announcement of the repo rate, which the central bank elected to keep unchanged, Central Bank Governor Epson Wanguta acknowledged the impact the oil price increase was having on its stock of international reserves, but was confident it will hold steady The threshold was introduced to maintain the one-to-one currency peg between the Namibian dollar and its anchor currency, the South African rand. Ongoing tensions in the Gulf stem from the February 2026 military conflict between Iran and the U.S.-Israel coalition. Escalation has disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for about 1/5 of global oil supply, driving a sharp rise in international oil prices and raising fuel import costs for Namibia. Looking at the numbers, we believe reserves will manage to hold at least above the 3-month of import cover. But again, if this crisis persists for longer than, say, 6 months, definitely our reserves will come down, but I do not believe it will come below the threshold, Wanghuta said. Wanghuta grounded his confidence in the performance of the mining sector, which he said was showing signs of resilience. The stock of international reserves stood at 51.8 billion Namibian dollars at the end of March 2026, a slight decline compared to 51.9 billion Namibian dollars at the end of January 2026. In our next story, Namibia could unlock a significant export boost into China from next week after Beijing confirmed that a sweeping zero-tariff regime on 100% of tariff lines for African countries with diplomatic ties will take effect on the 1st of May 2026. The policy, which applies to 53 African states, including Namibia, will eliminate import duties on qualifying goods entering the world's second-largest economy, a move widely seen as part of China's broader effort to deepen trade and economic cooperation with the continent. International Relations and Trade Minister Selma Ashipala Musuvyi, speaking during a recent interview on China-Africa Talk, said Namibia is positioning itself to take full advantage of the new regime by diversifying its export basket. Our meat is doing very well, and that's why we want to begin to now export mutton meat and goat meat, she said, adding that Namibia is also eyeing expanded exports of fish products, oysters, grapes, dates, and blueberries. Beyond raw produce, the minister signaled a push into value-added goods, our sausages, our dry meat, which is a delicacy in Namibia, and I have no doubt that it will find a market in China, she said. Under the new framework, eligible Namibian products will enter China duty-free, replacing a system where tariffs varied by product category. Chinese authorities say the initiative is aimed at boosting African exports, narrowing trade imbalances, and supporting industrialization across the continent. That concludes our economic news. We now take a look at what's happening on the financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 22.36, against the euro at 19.38, against the US dollar at 16.54, $2 Namibian and 42 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, gold, copper, and platinum went down, while Brent crude oil went up, trading at 4.97%, going for $115 and 39 cents per barrel. We'll be getting into our international news shortly. Getting into our international news, the last contingent of Kenyan police officers has left Haiti, bringing an end to the UN-backed multinational security support mission that's been in place since 2024. Haitian authorities expressed their gratitude to the Kenyan officers at a departure ceremony in the capital Port-au-Prince on Monday. Kenya's mission objective was to help the Haitian government drive out violent gangs that had taken control of Port-au-Prince and vital infrastructure. But the MSS faced enormous obstacles, including a lack of personnel and funding. Projected to have a budget of $600 million, only about 2/3 of that came through. As a result, the operation struggled with limited equipment and intelligence capabilities. Kenya had also promised 1,000 officers, but only 800 were ever deployed. The mission also generated controversy with allegations of sexual exploitation and abuse involving its officers. While some cases were substantiated and victims received assistance, Kenyan authorities denied any wrongdoing. The MSS is being replaced by a new international security initiative, the Gang Suppression Force, approved by the UN last year. When Haiti needed support most, Kenya stepped up, the GSF said in a statement. His commitment to peace and service beyond borders leaves a lasting legacy. Unlike the Kenyan mission, the GSF will work with Haitian police and its armed forces, a representative said. We'll now take a look at the weather predictions before we get into the sports news. The capital city can expect a minimum of 11 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 23 degrees Celsius with some showers. Hobabes can also expect some showers with a minimum of 17 and a maximum of 28 degrees Celsius. Katiba Mulilo can expect a minimum of 18 and a maximum of 29 degrees Celsius with partly cloudy conditions. Adams can expect a minimum of 14 and a maximum of 17 with some showers, while Handys Bay can enjoy sunny weather with a minimum of 14 and a maximum of 18 degrees Celsius. Here is the sports news with Ari Hohat, courtesy of Sports Rep.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first. It's UEFA Champions League and the best of Europe. It's the first leg semi-final. Exciting game, lots of goals, high scoring game. It was PSG Paris Saint-Germain that beat Bayern Munich by 5-4. That game was played in Paris. Defending champions led at 5-2 at some stage, that is PSG. And then the German champions came back with the 2 late goals. So the second leg will be played next week, Wednesday, the 6th of May, and that game will be played at Bayern Munich. In the other first leg semi-final, it will be played on Wednesday, and that is Atletico that will host Arsenal. Moving on to tennis news on the ATP and WTA Tour men and women playing in the Madrid Open. And the big news on the women's side of the draw is number 1 seed Aryna Sabalenka out of the tournament. She lost in the quarterfinals against Hailey Baptiste, and the score there was 2-6, 6-2 and 7-6. And it is Hailey Baptiste that saved 6 match points in the game to go through to the semi-final. In the semi-final, it is Baptiste that will now play against Mira Andreeva. She's the number 9 seed, and she beat Leila Fernandez in 2 sets. And it is Mira Andreeva, the only top 10 seed still in the tournament in the women's side of the draw. On the men's side of the draw in the Madrid Open, it was better for the number 1 seed, Yannick Sinner. He beat Cameron Norrie of Great Britain 6-2 and 7-5 to advance, that is, into the quarterfinals. And then also number 12 seed, that is Casper Ruud. That exciting game against Stefanos Tsitsipas, it was 3 tiebreaks, and it was Casper Ruud winning that by 6-7, 7-6 and 7-6. To close off today's international sports news, it is golf news. The new golf rankings, world rankings, is out for the women's tour. That's after the first major of the year, the Chevron Championship, was completed over the past weekend. The new number 1 is also the player that won the Chevron Championship, and that is Nelly Korda. She's from the USA. She won the Chevron Championship for her 3rd major title. She's now the new number 1 on the official rankings, taking over from Gino Titikal. She's from Thailand. Titikal didn't make the cut in the Chevron Championship, and she moves to number 2 in the world. Number 3 is Maya Kim from Korea, South Korea, and then also Charlie Hull from England is number 4. The best placed Southern African player is Ashley Buhai. She's from South Africa. She's 154th on the world rankings at the moment. So that's international sports news for today. I hope you have a great sport day, and we'll talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for tuning in and catching up on the latest news with Sunset News. From me, Glenora Shipura. Until next time.